So
Yeah,
we're going
talk
to go
about.
ahead and get started then, just because it's 2:03 and people will be popping in, and I'm probably a little bit lengthy here right from the start. So you guys all ready to go?
Let's go.
100%.
All right. So hello, my fellow realtors, and welcome to this online masterclass where we will share with you the knowledge and strategies to make 2024 your best year ever in real estate. I want to begin by sharing something interesting that I read recently. Did you know that goldfish have an attention span of just 9 seconds? But did you know that humans have even shorter attention span, averaging just 8 seconds? It's quite telling in this age of constant information and distraction. I mean, how many times have you found yourself scrolling through social media, quickly liking a post without truly engaging with its content? Today, we're here to break that pattern and engage with valuable insights that can transform your real estate business. So first and foremost, I want to congratulate you all for being here today. Your presence indicates a desire to make 2024 a success and improve your business. You know, in a market that seems slower for some, it's essential to stay ahead of the curve. You simply cannot afford to miss out on the coaching, the tools, and the resources available to propel you into the new age of real estate. So let's take a moment to reflect on a sobering statistic here in Portland. Next year, 36% of those in the real estate business may have left the industry. That's just 1 in 3 of us. We've seen this trend in the past with agents retiring or leaving during significant market shifts. In fact, in year 2013, the number of licensed agents in our area dwindled by 36%. And we're seeing signs that this could happen again. But I hope none of you will be a part of that 36% drop. We've all seen the memes and heard the people waiting for the right conditions, be it lower interest rates or a stronger market. However, waiting alone won't cut it. We need to be proactive in educating our clients about alternatives such as the ODVA loan for VA loans or the list and lock program from CMG Mortgage, among many other alternatives. We should also consider assumable loans as a way to stand out in this competitive market. So the truth is, there's no reason why 2024 can't be your best year ever in real estate. The only thing that could hold you back is yourself. And as someone who embarked on their real estate journey in 2004, I made a daily practice to ask myself this: what am I going to do today to build my business? And the answer lies in practice. Just like Michael Jordan, Brad Pitt, or any successful individual in their field, practice is the key to excellence. Complaining about market conditions, competition, or interest rates won't make you the best in real estate. It's the consistent practice of your craft that will elevate you above the rest. So now let me introduce our first speaker. But before I do, as a reminder, everyone here is muted. So if you have any questions, please drop them in the Q&A. And if we have time at the end, I'll ask Joshua some of the top questions to ask. I'm thrilled to introduce our first speaker, someone who has been a tremendous influence in my own journey, Joshua Smith. I've known Joshua for over a decade, and he has not only been a coach and a mentor to me and my team, but he's guided me towards success. Joshua is a top realtor in Phoenix, Arizona, and a serial entrepreneur. He's been voted one of the top realtors in the world by the Wall Street Journal, operates the #1 real estate podcast in the industry, GSD Mode, and coaches over 1,000 realtors yearly. Joshua brings clarity, commitment, and accountability to help individuals and teams succeed. His coaching principles include clarity, clearly defining goals and priorities; commitment, ensuring buy-in to these goals; translation, understanding individuals' roles and contributions; enabling, providing the structure, systems, and freedom to perform effectively; synergy, fostering positive relationships among team members; and accountability, holding each other accountable for success. So please welcome Joshua Smith.
All right. Well, thank you so much for having me. And I truly appreciate all of you being on here with us today. And Tim, truly appreciate you, your friendship, all your support, and that amazing intro. I'm also really excited to hear, I got a little a little sneak peek of what Larry's going to be sharing as well. So I'm really stoked to be able to learn from him today too. So with that being said, you guys, I want to jump in, maximize our time here. So I'm going to share my screen here, and we're going to jump on in. So, as Tim mentioned, any questions that you guys have, I'll try to leave some time, at the end to go through any specific questions that you have, and whether they're related to what we're talking about here today or not. If there's something I can do to serve support and help, just toss those in the chat box or the Q&A box, and we'll go through that. But, as Tim mentioned, we're here to talk about how to go out there and grow your real estate business in 2024. And the thing that I want to start off with and lead with is, look, just because the real estate market is going through a contraction, and we have for the last 18 to 24 months, meaning that the overall number of transaction volume has dissipated dramatically. We're back down to about 2008 levels. But it's your choice to participate in that. There is no reason why you shouldn't be having the best year, of your entire career. There's no reason why you shouldn't be expanding. The reality is this, and kind of Tim alluded to this in the intro, the amount of disengaged realtors, team leaders, and broker owners right now greatly outweighs the number of lesser transactions. But if we look at from about 2012 up until about early to mid 2022, that decade of time was probably one of the best decades that any of us will ever see throughout our whole entire careers. When you just look at it, just the overall economic climate, we had such low inflation, such great affordability. The economy, even though it was a false economy, but it was still what we were all experiencing, was so good for about a decade time. It just created this climate where in our industry, you could just kind of show up, kind of work hard, kind of be consistent, and go out there and make six figures. Well, those days, as we all know, and are experiencing, those days are gone, right? And I don't know if they'll return. I don't have a crystal ball, and I don't pretend to, but at least as of right now, there are some core critical things that you need to dial in. Actually, 4 specifics that I'm going to be covering with you guys here. And these are things that you can dial in right away. This is not one of these things that's going to take you a year to dial in this stuff. These are things that you can dial in right away. So again, how to grow your real estate business here in 2024. So the first 2 things I want to speak here, and I kind of alluded to these just a moment ago, but I want to talk about 2 mental philosophies that have served me really well. I've been in the game now for just over 18 years, and my real estate business has been able to continue to grow and expand year after year, regardless of the marketplace, whether it's been a boom, bust, anything in between. I've seen the 2 biggest booms. I've seen the biggest, worst, housing market crash in U.S. recorded history. And my real estate business was able to continue to grow, scale, and thrive year after year. And it's not because I'm somebody special. It's because I understand these concepts that I'm going to walk you guys through today. And these 2 really mental philosophies, not so much of a mindset, but a philosophy that I operate by, have been what have allowed me to go out there and sell over 7,000 homes now in this time frame and become one of the top realtors and team leaders out there. So, the understanding that, number 1, success is always internal. It is never external. Look, the real estate market itself does not dictate your success. You and you alone dictate your success. And here, this is how winners operate. I'm guessing that we all want to be here because we want to be winners inside this industry, meaning that you want to win at making your goals a reality. Well, winners understand that they dictate their success. It is not outside circumstances that dictate their success. Those that blame outside circumstances are what? That's what we call a victim. So if you are sitting there blaming, oh man, my business is down because it's the market, you are allowing yourself to adopt a victimhood mindset, and you're giving up your internal power and control. And what you're saying to yourself and what you're starting to believe is, okay, you can only create success during up markets. Look, you guys, if you're in this for a long period of time, which I hope all of you are going to experience up markets, you're going to experience down markets, you're going to experience everything in between. As real estate professionals, we got to get damn good at being able to navigate regardless of what the market's doing. I look at this as, man, I'm a residential real estate specialist. My job, my niche, my product is residential real estate in the geographical location that I choose to work. My job is to understand and move that product. Now, what differentiates, throughout the times is who's buying the product, who's selling the product, why are they buying it, why are they selling it? So if I get really good at just being able to pivot and shift to who's buying, who's selling, right? Like real estate's always trading hands, always has, always will. So first thing is to understand that success is always internal, never external. Secondary thing here is there is no such thing as a good market or a bad market. The market is always good for someone. It is our job as real estate professionals, really our highest level job, to identify whom the market is currently good for and pivot and shift and adapt accordingly to whom it's good for, meaning who's buying, who's selling, why are they buying, why are they selling, where are they going, where are they coming from. I'll hear this even from some of my own agents on my team where they're like, oh man, nothing's selling. And I'll be like, okay, well, last time I checked, we saw 5,500 homes on average selling right now in the market every single month in my market. Now I'm in Phoenix Metro, which is a huge, metro. And we're used to about 9,000 home sales. So our market's down about 40% for transaction volume, but there's still 5,500 every single month. That's way more than I can handle. I was always telling my teammates, man, go get your 3, 4, 5 a month and you're making grips of money. Yeah, right. So just understand that no such thing as a good market or a bad market. It's always good for somebody. It's our job as real estate professionals is to identify whom that market is good for. All right, so now let's talk about the state of the overall market that we are in. And I know that this is probably nothing new to you guys, but I think it's really important to deal in realities and understand where we're at. So if you look at this graph right here, this is from NAR. And if we look at this, goes back to 1983 when they started tracking this statistic. So if you look at the blue line here, this indicates the number of active residential real estate listings on the market nationwide. Then if you look at the green line below, this is the number of licensed real estate professionals. So for most of the time, going back all the way to 1983, the active inventory out there has been between somewhere between 2 and 3x the amount of active agents. Well, that shifted during this whole COVID era. And if you fast forward till today, now this was a stat that was at the beginning of 2023. Most recent data stat, if we look at this, actually it goes through to summertime. So this is even more skewed now today, where it's almost inverted, where now we have almost double the amount of licensed real estate professionals versus number of listings out there. So what does that mean? That means we are amongst one of the most, if not the most, competitive real estate landscapes that any of us have ever navigated and experienced. Now, I'm going to show you how to quickly and easily overcome this, but it's something that we need to be aware of. Look, if you were doing the same things that you did in 2018, 2019, 2020, 2021, or even early 2022, look, you're going to experience a lot of resistance, a lot of pain. The game is different right now. All right, so then if we look at mortgage purchase applications, so this is a lead indicator that I'm always looking through. The most recent data that I've been able to find is through September 5th. So this is only a couple months old, but obviously with lack of affordability, with inflation, with interest rates, right? Mortgage applications are now at 23-year lows. And this is a KPI, a data stat I'm always paying attention to, because this really shows me what mortgage applications are today. And then the percentage those are down, that's a pretty good lead indicator for where we're going to be over the next 90 to 120 days, right? Because most people that are applying for a mortgage today are typically those buyers in the next 60, 90 to 120 days. So obviously we got mortgage applications down for, I think, reasons that are all pretty obvious to all of us. Then from there, if we look at the consumer, because who's buying and selling real estate from us? The consumer. So one thing I'm always paying attention to is what is going on with the overall consumer. So if we look at, pre-COVID era, the average consumer, average Americans, average savings rate was around 9%. Then during COVID, with all the stimulus, this spiked up to about 33%. Well, now if we fast forward to where we're at today, it's about 3x lower than pre-COVID average savings rates. So what this is showing us is that all that excess savings that people had through the COVID stimulus is evaporated, that's done and gone. And now we've even dropped significantly below, about 3x below what prehistoric average saving rates are. So what this shows me is that the average consumer can't necessarily afford life that we are experiencing. As you guys all know, you go to the gas pump, you go to the grocery store, life today is about 40% more expensive than it was before COVID just to go out there and operate general life. So, if we look at pre-savings rate there, now let's look at the debt ratio. So this is just credit card debt, but if you look at all levels of debt, so whether it's mortgage debt, credit card debt, medical debt, student loan debt, auto loan debt, they're all following the same trajectory, where consumer debt is just skyrocketing through the roof, hitting all-time highs. Savings is hitting all-time lows. So again, what does that tell me? That tells me that the average consumer, it's not that the average consumer can barely hang on. This tells me that they aren't hanging on. Right? I don't know if you guys are aware of this, but right now there's 25,000 daily auto repos taking place every single day in the United States. The previous high before that was about 14,000. So when we look at, what is the stage of the consumer? Now I'm going to circle back. I'm not trying to be like doom and gloom, sky is little, chicken little, sky is falling. I'm going to circle this back onto how to understand what's going on economically, what's going on with the overall consumer, to sit there and identify where the biggest opportunities are in the market, because I want to make sure that all of you are crushing it right now in your real estate business. So this right here, this gives us a good idea of what's going on when we kind of overlay these two charts and graphs that I was sharing with you. This red line here is consumer debt. And this goes back, from 2016, we can see what's going on, but look at what started taking place here, especially taking place this year, but in 2022. So the red line is debt, The green line is consumer savings. So it's just widening, widening, widening. So again, the average consumer is getting crushed. So this is why when we look at transaction volume being down and mortgage applications being down, look, in the era that we are in, we just omitted about 50 to 60% or more of the consumer out there from being able to partake in the product it is that we go out there and sell. So stuff that we got to know, right? Then if we look at the federal balance, so this is the Federal Reserve balance sheet. This goes all the way back to 1914, but we can see it just, absolutely skyrocketing. So if we look at, just over since 2007, so before the great financial crisis, the Federal Reserve's balance sheet was about 900 billion, and then if we look at where it's at today, it's closer to about 10 trillion. So this is a slightly outdated chart here. This goes back to 2020. Obviously, they printed an insane amount of money, bought up a lot of debt during that time. So we've had this artificial economy. We'd be in a 16-year-long depression right now if it wasn't for, and just to reduce it to very simple terms, if it wasn't for all of this stimulus, all of this money printing, and all of this deficit spending. The reason why I bring this up, and I'm talking about the Federal Reserve's balance sheet plus our national debt. If we look at the balance sheet of our national debt, now we're actually about 34 trillion. These things are extremely and highly inflationary. So this inflation that we are experiencing, like, this isn't going away. I don't care what we get reported on the news. Like, we are going to be in this highly inflationary, stagflationary time for a lot of years to come, because there is no sign that there's a slowdown in deficit spending with policy, all of this stuff. And I'm not here to talk politics. It just is what it is. I just read this data to be able to know and understand how to prep for my business. Now, the blessing that you and I have is in real estate, like, we can go out there and combat inflation. A lot of people aren't in a position to do so. So if we then can just sit there, and I think conservatively, it's a safe bet to say that life is going to probably get 10% more expensive every single year for at least the next 5 years. Okay, well, then from there, I just got to make sure that my real estate business is going up at least 10% each year to be able to maintain and sustain my lifestyle. Now, if I want to get that further out of it, okay, well, then I can grow my business by 20%, 30%, right? It's up to you and I to be able to go out there and dictate this. So this allows us to plan for our own livelihoods, right? But then also to see those opportunities of where those biggest opportunities are at currently in the market. So where we're at today, record low housing inventory overall nationwide. I know market to market real estate's hyper local, so maybe all of us aren't experiencing that exact thing in our market, but overall on a nationwide level, record low housing inventory, record low number of real estate transactions, record high number of realtors, record high number of costs for real estate. So we're now in the most unaffordable time to ever go out there and acquire real estate in U.S. recorded history. We're also in the most expensive time to operate life as a U.S. citizen in recorded history. We got record high number of consumer debt, record low savings debt. So again, and this just allows us to be able to position, prep, and plan accordingly. Now, as I said earlier, success is always internal, never external. I don't want you to let yourself get down by any of this stuff that I've shared with you. But look, if somebody's going to come up and punch me in the face, like, I want to know they're coming so I can just get out of the way. I want to prep and plan accordingly. We cannot stick our head in the sand. I had so many agents and teams and brokerage owners back during the great financial crisis that were like, oh man, I didn't see this coming. I wasn't paying attention. I never thought it was going to get this bad. I never, right? Like, they allowed themselves to get blindsided because they stuck their head in the ground. They weren't paying attention. And again, I'm not saying this is a braggy thing. It's because I do the things that I'm talking here about today. I watch this stuff and I track this stuff. I track inventory rate. I pay attention to these lead indicators. So before 2008 hit, I was positioned with short sales. I was positioned with 35 different banks and asset management firms. So then when the market imploded, okay, I was the one getting all of those listings and those distressed assets. If you want to make great money year after year and continue to grow and scale and thrive in your business, you have to have the ability to also read the markets and pivot accordingly, just because of this second philosophy that I talked to you about earlier. But here it is again. There is no such thing as a good market or a bad market. The market is always good for someone. It's our job to identify whom the market is good for. All right, so now that being said, let's get very tactical and strategic here with now what to do to go out there and make sure that you are thriving during these times. So that was kind of the what and where we're at and why it's important to make these pivots and changes. Now we're going to get into the how. So there are 4 primary things to go out there and navigate right now. Number 1, you got to hedge for the transaction volume. I'm going to explain each of these and break these down. So number one, hedging for the transaction volume decline in your business so you can prep and plan accordingly. Number two, you got to attach to the fundamentals at a deeper level than you probably ever have. Number three, I call it sniper versus shotgun. That might sound like a bunch of gibberish right now. I'll explain what that means. Number five, you got to master your skills right now, especially when it comes to sales skills. You cannot waste opportunities. You got to dial in your skill set so you are converting at the highest possible conversion rates for all of your different lead sources and all of your different clients. The quickest way to 2x, 3x, or 4x your business is to not go out there and double, triple, or quadruple your hours, right? Like for most of us, that's an impossibility to go out there and do. It's to 2x, 3x, or 4x your skill set. Because if you are 2 or 3 or 4 times better at each activity that you do, then you're going to go out there and get that 2x, 3x, 4x result in the same amount of work, energy, and effort and time, right? Most in this industry, and here's the blessing of this, is most in our industry, like I don't know how many people you sent this out to, Tim, yeah, right? But like they couldn't be bothered to show up, right?
6,000.
Yeah, so 6,000 people, we got 11 of us here. Right. And that's great. I look at that as a good thing. 11, you 11 are committed. Like you're here to, let them go out there and do their thing, man. Like they're the ones, the vast majority of those in our industry will never do any self-development or any skill set training outside of their CE credit hours. They approach this business as amateurs, not professionals, and they are going to get murdered and punished as we go deeper into this economic winter that we're really just in the beginning phases of entering. Like this is going to be a long haul, guys. Okay. So with that, let's jump into this. So first off, how to hedge for transaction volume decline. So when we look at, you need to calculate what your transaction volume is down versus what it's at historically. So what I recommend, their last accurate month of data you're going to have is October 2023. So look at the total number of home closings in 2023, in October 2023 in your marketplace. Then from there, I want you to go back and do an average of the past 5 years for that same month. So look at October of 2022, October of 2021, October of 2020, October of 2019, October of 2018, right? So like, total up those, how many homes closed for each of those years, divide those out by 5. Then from there, now you have a 5-year standing average to be able to compare where your transaction volume is at right now. Then you divide those two numbers together, right? Then from there, that's going to give you the percentage that your market is down. So like right now, my market is down about 42% versus what we're normally seeing, right now at this time of the year. So what does that number signify to me? That number signifies to me and to you that, okay, I got 4, and whatever your number is, maybe it's 35, maybe it's 50, like whatever it is, doesn't matter what it is. You just need to know what it is. Okay. That means for me, 42%, there's 42% lesser people able or willing to transact in my given market. So then from there, what I do to hedge for this is I take my business plan and historically, however many of leads and how much number of follow-up that I had to do to equate to a closing, I increase that by 42%. So if I'm used to converting, let's just say 1 out of 100 with this lead source, now it's going to be 1 out of 142, right? So I'm going to have to generate that many more leads and do that much more follow-up to go out there and hedge accordingly for this. Now I'm going to walk you through how to increase your skill set. So hopefully you don't necessarily need to do this, but we want to hope for the best, plan for the worst. So still do this, right? Because it might take a little bit of time for you to hone it in your skill set. So that's how you go out there and hedge for transaction volume decline. And now I don't know if some of you are team leaders or broker owners on here, but it becomes the same thing when it comes to agent recruiting, right? Like your transaction volume is going to be down, your average agent production, all of that's going to be down as far as a team or a brokerage as well. And you do that same hedge accordingly, because I got to go out there and recruit 42% more to be able to get the same result overall as a team. This is how you hedge from it. You deal in realities and you make those necessary adjustments. All right. So number 2 here is attaching to the fundamentals. As the great Warren Buffett said, when the tide goes out, you see who's skinny dipping. A lot of people got caught skinny dipping, in this market shift. Again, we just came out of the longest bull run in United States recorded history. We'll probably never see, biggest all asset class bubble of all time in record history. So again, like we just got to understand this and know this. So then from there, during hard times, and the fundamentals are always important. But when you're experiencing more challenging markets, it's that much more important to then attach to the fundamentals. This is not a market where it's about fancy funnels, and not saying that that stuff can't help. But if you don't have the fundamentals dialed in first, that stuff is going to be irrelevant. So what do I mean about the fundamentals? All right, you got to know and understand the real estate game. Now, to some of you, this might seem elementary, but to others of you, maybe not. But I want to go through the real. So if we look at the overall real estate game, it's to get people to know you, like you, trust you, be aware of what you do for a living, follow up frequently, or keep your message in front of them frequently. Your business continues to grow. But knowing the concept of the game and knowing what the game isn't enough to be victorious. Like, okay, if I want to go out there and play chess, okay, I know that the name of the game is to capture my opponent's king. But in order for me to do that successfully, I got to know the directions. I got to know the instructions. I got to know, what each piece is, how it moves along the board. Then we got strategy, all of those different things. So if you want to know and master the game, you got to understand the directions. So here are the directions of the game. So, and this comes down to the overall real estate sales funnel. All right, so it's going to start off here with activities. And I know that some of this is going to seem like no duh, but I want you to keep an open mind here, and really obsess, because the top of the top in this industry, they take this stuff seriously and they obsess over this stuff. So your activities, these are your lead gen activities. And what do I mean by obsession? Obsession is just another word for mastery. So when I look at this, okay, I'm going to obsess over, AKA master, every single activity that I'm doing to make sure that I'm maximizing and optimizing on generating as many leads as possible from that thing that I'm doing. Right. So that's like, okay, what is our overall strategy? Strategies are overall effective plan. How can we optimize and maximize on this? Okay, if I'm doing an open house, man, can I strategically put this sign here and this retractable banner here and set up the sign up table here and tweak these sign-in sheets so I can go out there and get 85% of the people to sign in with correct information without me having to ask, so I can focus more time on the tour. So it doesn't matter what lead gen strategy you're doing, just making sure that you are obsessing over, okay, are you maximizing and optimizing on everything that you are doing? Because the only reason activities exist in your real estate business is to generate a lead, period, right? So that's the first stop. Then obviously, like lead gen is what? Offering something of value in exchange for somebody's contact information. Boom, now they go into your CRM, they enter your funnel, now they become a lead. Well, what's the sole purpose of a lead? To turn that lead into an appointment set, so you can conduct that appointment, you turn them into a client, right? So a lead only exists inside my world as a real estate professional to convert that lead into an appointment set. And again, I know this sounds like a no duh, but let me challenge you and ask you this. Every single lead source that you have in, are you obsessing over and mastering your overall follow-up protocol, your overall follow-up process? Are you saying the right things at the right times, doing the right frequency to maximize and optimize on those overall lead conversions, right? So again, now we start off with activities, becomes a lead, then boom, leads exist for us to go out there and set appointments. Those appointments that we set exist to go out there and conduct them. Again, no duh, right? But the average agent out there has a 50% appointment set to show rate. That is terrible. Right? Each and every single one of you should have a target of 75% or greater. Okay, well, are you selling the right value of the appointment? Are you making them feel comfortable so when they show up to the appointment, they feel comfortable enough to show up to the appointment? Are you confirming it properly? Like, again, the whole reason that an appointment set exists to go out there and conduct the appointment. Okay, the appointment conduction exists for what? To generate a client. So, okay, are you mastering your listing presentation? Are you mastering your buyer consultation to ensure that you convert at 90% plus to go out there and be victorious at getting those clients? Clients exist for under contract. Then boom, that exists to spit out a past client / commission check. Doesn't stop there. That now becomes your number one lead source. So step number one of the fundamentals is to know and understand and master the overall game and the overall directions of the game. Then number two is you got to create processes for each step of the game. Processes are just your documented steps to get you the desired result that you want. Here's step one, here's step two, here's step three, here's step four, right? So I look at processes are the recipes, and then the system is the cookbook. All right, so number two, you create processes around each step of the game, so you're able to replicate the same results, things don't get missed. Then you have those processes live inside systems, right? So when it comes to the fundamentals, this is really about you being a great operator, meaning treating your business as a business. And this is something that all the time, anybody in this industry in the top 1%, these are things that they do and they obsess over. All right, so then from there, number four, you got to track each element of the game. If you do not know your numbers, you don't know the details of your business, you're going to have a very difficult time succeeding at a high level in this business. Then eventually, number 5, once you hit a capacity, eventually you're going to need people, right? Like there's only so many hours in a day. You can, like, no matter how refined you get your skill set and you get all these other things in, if you want to continue to grow and scale, while at the same point having any element of a life, like eventually you're going to have to plug in the right people strategically at the right times. All right, so that's what I mean by the fundamentals. All right, so now let's get into number 3, sniper versus shotgun. So what does this mean? So over the last decade, 2012 to 2022, we had, just because of the climate that we are in, we had an abundance of people wanting to buy and sell. So you could go out there and just shotgun things out there. And again, there's enough people wanting to buy or sell where things could potentially fall in your lap, and did for most. Right now, though, shotgun strategies don't work. So like an example of this is just going out there and circle prospect, and just calling a bunch of random homeowners, right? Well, you got 2/3 of American homeowners that are at 4% or locked into 4% or lesser interest rates. Like they may want to sell, but they're not going to sell, because where the hell are they going to go? And they're not necessarily willing to pay 8%. And I'll talk about ways to overcome that here in a moment. But right now we want to be laser focused with that. The sniper approach is meaning not going after people that want to buy or sell. There's an abundance of people that want to buy or sell, but they're unwilling or unable to in this climate that we're in. So we need to go from want to need. Who are those people that need to buy, that need to sell, that need our services? So let's go through some examples of these. So I'm going to first go to the buy side, and then I want to go through the sell side, because this is the great news, you guys. This is the second best time in my almost 19 years of practice in real estate to go out there and get listings. Every single one of you can so easily be racking up a listing a week. Like it is so easy. It's like fishing with dynamite right now in this market. So, but I do want to go through the buy side as well, just in case some of you are focusing on the buy side. I do both, right? Working with buyers and sellers within my team. All right. So what's working well right now? Okay. Open houses, Facebook ads, YouTube, intent-based online leads. Let me break these down a little bit more, because it's not so much the activity, it's the strategy applied to that activity. Okay, so let's just look at open houses. As I said earlier, I'm going to be focused on, okay, who's buying, who's selling, what are they buying, what are they selling, why are they buying, why are they selling, where are they going, where are they coming from? So if you look at this market climate today, because we already looked about, how the average person is getting crushed because of inflation and whatnot. So who can afford to, and who is participating in this market? So at least for me on the buy side in my market, it might be slightly different in your market. But I'm primarily focused on, move up Gen X buyers. So when I say Gen X, this is going to be some millennials are sprinkled in there, but this is going to be your 40 to 55-year-old married couples. Because in my marketplace right now, like if you're not making 130 grand of at a minimum of household combined income, you're out of the marketplace, right? I mean, most are like, we're not selling much under 600 grand anymore. That's kind of low, some, like 500,000 is kind of entry level, in our market. Most of what we're selling is at 600, 700, 800, close to $1 million price point and beyond that. So okay, these are they're peak income earning years, right? So they have the income to afford it. But then these are people that have lived in their previous home for 10 plus years. So they have an abundance of equity to go out there and sell that home, put that down payment, do rate buy downs, whatever they need. Plus, again, they're in peak income earning years. So we're really targeting those in that 150 to 450 plus household income range. So how do you target those for an open house? You ever watch that movie Field of Dreams? Like build it and they will come. So it's like, dude, you do the open house in the neighborhoods on the exact properties that are in most demand with your ideal clients. So in my market, as an example, I know what they're looking for. They're looking for 2,500 plus square feet, 4+ bedroom, 3+ bathroom, sparkling swimming pools, I'm in Phoenix, so it's hot. Everybody else wants swimming pool, 3+ car garages. They don't want deferred maintenance. They want it to be tricked out. This is going to be in that $600 to $1 million price point. So we're doing open houses in this, in the zip codes and the neighborhoods and on the type of properties that are in high demand for our ideal client for this market. So that's what I'm talking about. It's not about doing open houses. It's about doing the activity, but it comes down to what is your strategy for that activity. So if you ever find yourself saying like, oh, well, I tried this, but this didn't work for me. And I'm not trying to be a jerk here. I'm saying this out of a place of love and because I care, man, is it's you. It's not the thing. It's like when I used to be a personal trainer, people come like, oh, I tried the diet thing, but it didn't work for me. I'm like, man, 3,500 calories in a pound. It's kind of physics. Like maybe you just didn't have the right diet, right? So everything works, nothing doesn't, right? We just got to make sure that we apply the right strategy to it. So if you're not getting the results, don't allow yourself to be a victim and be like, oh, that thing just doesn't work for me. No, be a winner and go out there, take full responsibility. Like, okay, what am I doing wrong? And so that is leading to me not getting results with this thing, right? Okay, so then Facebook ads. All right, so Facebook ads, same thing. I got to show the ad to the people that are in demand of that people that have the need, and I got to show them what they want. So like, okay, my Facebook ads, I'm going to, be showcasing the same properties that I be doing these open houses on. But then from there, I'm taking it a layer deeper. I'm like, who's this a win for? Again, who's coming, like who's buying, what are they buying, where are they coming from, where are they going? So here's an example. I'm in Phoenix, Arizona. I've got a lot of people from California moving here. So I know the top 20 states and all the metros within those states of people that are moving to my market, right? So then from there, okay, well, there's only 3 metros in California. The primary majority of people moving to my market are from, right? You got San Francisco Bay Area, you got Riverside in LA County, and then you've got San Diego. So, okay, when I'm targeting people in San Francisco Bay Area that want to get out of there and they want to move here, right? So for them, this is a steal because they're selling a 3-bed, 2-bath, 1,400 square foot, 100-year-old house for 1.5 million. They do no longer feel safe in their neighborhood. They want to get the hell out of there. So they're selling that for 1.5 million. They're coming to my market, buying what feels like a castle to them, 4,000 plus square foot, fully tricked out, almost brand new, beautiful property for 850. So they're massively upgrading in style of property and lifestyle, but they're downgrading when it comes to price point. And they have the capability and the funds to go out there and participate in this marketplace. Okay, YouTube, again, YouTube is one of the highest converting lead sources that I've ever seen. Great thing about YouTube is, again, you can kind of pick and choose your price point based on who you're speaking to for that marketplace. And YouTube's great for reloads, and so forth. Then from there, intent-based online leads. What do I mean by this? And I know that this isn't, a company that a lot of people love in this our industry, but, like your Zillows, right? Your realtor.coms. So let's just use Zillow because we all know who Zillow is. And I'm not saying to go out there and do these things. I'm just talking about what works in this market, and you have a lot of different options. But with Zillow, these are people that they're going there with intent. They're looking at homes. They're inquiring about specific properties. Those that are unable or unwilling to participate in this market, they're just checked out. They're typically not, they might still be looking on Zillow, but they're definitely not inquiring to go out there and look at a property. So that's where we're seeing, we're seeing good success there as well. All right, so now let's jump into the listing side, which is my favorite, especially for this market, because it's so damn easy. And plus, in a low inventory market, like I'd rather be stacking up listings and let everybody else go out there and show them and do multiple offer bidding and whatnot. All right, so I break these down into two different categories. We got your competitive niches and then your non-competitive niches. Now, both can be highly successful, but this is really important to understand and know. So like, here's an example. FSBOs and expireds are very competitive niches, meaning that you might have 50 or 100 other agents in your marketplace going after those. Now, they're great lead sources, always have been, always will be, because people are raising their hands saying, hey, I want to sell, right? Like we want to move, we want to sell, or at least they have a high probability of wanting to go out there and sell. However, because it's high competition, you got to make sure that you are differentiating yourself when it comes to your overall skill set with your overall approach. So you got 2 options. You can either be a hell of a lot more frequent, like you can do more of them and do them more frequently and do the same thing as your competitors are doing, experience that resistance, and then you can just still have success and beat out your competitors by just doing a hell of a lot more of it. But that is not the most intelligent way for us to go out there and work. So let me come up with strategies that differentiate me from my competitors, that my competitors are not doing. These are unique selling propositions. Let me come up with different offers, different pitches, different differentiators, and make sure that I have a superior skill set. So when I go out there and convert on these FSBOs or these expireds, I'm able to convert at a much higher level. And look, so like in this market, well, I'm doing every one of these things right now to go out there and get listings. Now with my team, and when I say this, I have a large team, so this isn't me personally. But we have a goal right now. We're averaging about 1.5 listings every single day. Our goal is before the end of this year to be averaging 2 listings every single day. And then in the first quarter of 2024, I want our team to be listing 3 listings every single day, right? On average. So in order to hit that volume, because for me to be taking on over 100 listings a week, 100 listings a month, like we have to hit a multi-pronged approach. So yeah, we're going after FSBOs. We're going after expires. So I'm going to talk more about skill set here in a minute and how to come up with those unique differentiators. So don't think I'm going to leave you hanging on that. So those are your competitive, your competitive niches. Now let's talk about non-competitive niches. Now these are my absolute favorite. Like who needs our services? Where's their demand? But where do I have the least amount of my competitors? Okay, so we talked earlier. Well, let me first go into investors. So right now we are experiencing cap rate compressions for the first time in several decades. So you got rents coming down. Let's look at your short-term vacation rentals. That's what STR stands for here. Your Airbnbs of the world, right? So with those, you got your average before this year, average occupancy rates were about 70%. Now today, nationwide, they're about 52%. We have domestic travel falling off of a cliff because, again, what we talked about earlier in this training here, the average consumer is just getting crushed with all this inflation, right? So you got domestic travel falling off a cliff, and 50% of all your short-term vacation rental investors acquired these post-COVID. So pretty much they all bought wrong. Yeah, right. So they're bleeding capital. And if they want to sell at or close to peak pricing before they continue to lose too much money, like now is the opportune time to go out there and do that. Right. Then, of course, you got your long-term buy and hold investors. So these are your typical, kind of when you think about when you're a typical, real estate investor, not a flipper, but people that are putting tenants in there. Okay. We got rent starting to come down, but you got taxes going up. You got insurance going up. You got HOAs going up. You got cost of deferred maintenance going up. So again, a great niche to go after if they want to sell at or close to peak pricing, but do so before they get into negative cash flow territory. Now is the time. And we're cleaning house with these, you guys. We're listed at 8% right now. So we have 100 conversations. That's landing to 8 listings. What I love about the investors, I'm always looking for win-win scenarios, is let's just say that investor, which is 92% of them, at least for me in my market, are like, no interest in selling. Property's performing great. No interest in selling now or anytime in the future. Okay, now I can transition them into a buyer investor client. Oh, hey, that's no reason. I'm so glad to hear that your property's performing great for you. And hey, just real quick, before I let you go, out of curiosity, if I could find you other investment properties that perform as good, if not better than this property, would you have interest of adding more properties to your real estate portfolio? And if so, would it be okay with you if I emailed you over any great deals that I find? Any decently savvy, sophisticated investor says yes to that. All right, now we got NODs, right? So your notice of defaults. Right now, you got 84 million mortgages throughout the U.S. You got 12 million HELOCs. You got about 3% of those currently in default. So we're seeing a huge uptick again in defaults, right? So these are people that are, 30 plus days late on their mortgage. They haven't been foreclosed upon yet. They need to sell. They need to sell fast. And there's over 3 million right now in this stage in households throughout America in this stage. They need to sell. They need to sell fast. If they don't, they're going to face foreclosure. Now, here's the cool thing about these two niches is they are not on other realtors' radars right now, right? Like we're just cleaning house. These are people that need to go out there and sell or have a very high probability, but have like no competitors going after them. Now, if you're going to go after NODs, you're going to see what we're seeing right now nationwide is about 50% are an equity sell and about 50% are what's called a short sell, right? So if you're not versed on short sales, they're easy to do. I would just make sure to go, check with your broker, see what documents that you need and get brushed up on how to do that process. It's a pretty darn easy process, with that. So these are examples of, now you could just take any one of these and go out there and spend 90 minutes a day of intentional focus, energy, and effort and go out there and easily be listing a house a week. Easily. Right. But these again are what's working right now, what we're seeing work right now best. And not just in my market. You guys, I coach and work with real estate agents, team leaders, and broker owners all over North America, all over the United States, all over Canada, other countries as well, New Zealand, Portugal. So these are just things that we're just seeing work in all markets. All right, so now let's talk about mastering your sales skills. Now we got to master each area of the sales funnel, but the biggest bang for your buck is going to be mastering your sales skills, right? Because what's the most important thing? Like we have to have the ability to go out there and sell at a high level. And if you do this pretty much can solve all the other problems. So mastering your sales skills. So what do I mean by that? So let me go through, because I know I'm going long on or getting close to my time limit here. So mastering your sales skills. Let me go through some of my top tips for this. Okay, per lead, per different lead source that you're going after. This is really, really important. Please take note of this. You need to understand the timeline and psychology of each different lead source. Now, the timeline is, okay, from when this inception of this lead until they become a client, on average, what is that timeline? So, okay, a Facebook lead is in my CRM for 6.7 months on average before they become a client, right? So then I know then that timeline allows me to establish how long and how frequent my follow-up needs to be to convert that lead at the highest possible level. And the timeline and psychology are going to be different between a FSBO, between an expired, between a online, Facebook lead versus a Zillow lead versus an open house lead. All of these are different. So you got to break, and this isn't difficult to go out there and figure out, but you got to understand this. So as an example, with expireds, hey, I know that the average expired, 90% of expireds do not relist in the first 90 days. 90% list between month 4 and the 2-year mark. So I need to make sure that my timeline is at least 2 years for follow-up. And my frequency is going to be day 1, and then every 21 days for the first 6 months, and then every 6 months for 2 years. Whether I'm calling, whether I'm doing letters, I'm a big fan of both. Like, we'll call calling is going to be the quickest results, but I also love getting people coming to me. So we have effective mailer campaigns that we send out so I can get expireds calling me and so forth with that. Okay, so that's what timeline is. Psychology. Now, great marketers, great salespeople understand that they need to enter the conversation taking place in the consumer's mind. So the psychology of what's going on with that lead source, that then dictates what your message needs to be. So you can match your message with where they are at. So let's give I already gave the timeline example of an expired. Let me give the psychology now of an expired. Okay, well, what's going on in their head once that property expires? Okay, number 1, they had real estate goals that they're excited about getting met. Those real estate goals were not met. So they're that's gut punch number 1. They're defeated and down. That's gut punch number 1. Number 2, their house just got rejected by the marketplace, right? So most, their homes are something special. It's not just 4 walls and a roof, right? It means something to them, right? So then now they just got gut punch number 2 because their home just got rejected by the marketplace. Now they got number 3 going on here. The gut punch number 3, the triple whammy, is they had a real estate agent that promised them and told them they could get the job done, and that real estate agent let them down. Right. So so that's what they've got, this triple defeat going on in their head. So what does my messaging need to be out of the gate? My messaging needs to be that, hey, you got a beautiful home and your home isn't the problem. Message number 2 is, hey, your real estate goals, if you still have those same goals, can 100% be met. Right. Then message number 3 is, unfortunately, you made the mistake of hiring the wrong real estate professional. But the good news is you can hire me and I can get the job done. And here's how I differentiate myself from all the other realtors in our marketplace and how I differentiate myself from your realtor to ensure and guarantee that that deal gets done. Now, what else is going on in their head? They are fearful that they might make another mistake. So I eliminate, like you want to get damn good at sales, just remove the resistance that is coming into place. Remove those objections, those obstacles. So I know those things are taking place. Yeah, right. So then, like this is why I do things like I have my 1-day listing agreement. Now I'll do a full 6-month listing agreement, but my 1-day listing agreement in the additional term states, if after 24 hours of your home being listed on the multiple listing service, if you wish to cancel this listing agreement, you may do so without any hassle, cost, or obligation. So what I'm able to tell them is, hey, I know I'm making some big and bold promises. I know I'm telling you and walking you through all these things I'm going to do different, will do different than your agent to ensure your real estate goals are met. But I know that you just had a bad experience and you might have a concern, that I might not be able to deliver anything different than your agent did. Well, that's why I offer my 1-day listing agreement. And I explain to them what that is to ensure that you can't make a mistake with me. If at any point in time, you feel that I'm doing the same thing that your agent did, if you feel I'm not doing what I said I was going to do, if at any time you're unhappy with my performance, or maybe you just have a change of heart, whatever the reason may be, you're the boss. I work for you. You're in full control. You can fire me at any time. This ensures that you cannot make a mistake with me. Then from there, whether it be my letter, and I'll use my letter as an example, because this is essentially the same as our phone script. So they open up the letter, right? Right when they open up, boom, there's going to be a huge image of the front of their home. Then right above that in bold quote says, sometimes even the finest of homes do not always sell, right? So I'm speaking to, again, because what do I need to articulate to them? And what do I need to get them to understand and believe? Their home wasn't the problem. They got a beautiful home. Their real estate goals can still 100% be met. They just made the mistake of hiring the wrong real estate professional. So when I'm doing my phone scripts, and I, make sure I'm speaking to the right person, when I'm, hey, Josh, whatever their name is, it's Joshua Smith. I identify myself, hey, I know your time is valuable, and I promise I'll be quick, but I'm here looking on the MLS right now. And I noticed that your home was for sale in the market, and for whatever reason, it didn't sell. And, I'm looking at your photos. I'm going through all your all the information about your property. I'm looking through your photos, and man, you have such a beautiful home. I'm just curious, why do you think your home didn't sell? And all of that becomes important when it comes to your pacing, your pausing, your tonality, how you're coming from a place of curiosity and concern, right? These are skill sets that I promise you that your competitors did not go out there and acquire. But you can acquire these very quickly, and you will dominate your competition. So understand timeline and psychology. Okay, number 2 here, understand what the consumer today wants. All these old school hardcore sales tactics are the worst, most ineffective things that you can do. Now, the great news for most of us is, the common thing I hear from other realtors is, man, I know I need to sell, but I don't want to be salesy. I'm like, good, because nobody else wants you to be either, right? The quickest way and the surest way to piss somebody off, to shut them down, to put them into fight or flight mode is to hardcore push, hardcore pressure, or use, old school sales tactics. The second somebody feels that they are being sold, they are going to shut down. Right. So what does the consumer want today? The consumer wants to gather the information that they want and need to make their best informed decision for themselves and their family. But they want to do that in an environment that's safe, that's non-pushy, non-pressure, non-hassle, where they're not being sold. Right. So just give the consumer what they want. One of the best things I ever did years ago was institute a very strict absolute no pressure policy inside my company. So this helps us set more appointments, conduct more appointments, get more, because we go out of our way to make people feel extremely comfortable. Hey, just so you know, we've got a very strict, absolute no pressure policy. So you never have to worry about being pushed, pressured, sold, any of that. Look, I'm here just to provide you with the best information so you can go out there and make the best decision for yourself and for your family. And regardless of whatever that decision is, either way, it's okay. So let's just say it's with a buyer consult. Like, I'll even take it a step further. If I'm setting a buyer consult, I'll tell them that, hey, look, by the end of this meeting, you may decide that homeowner, like you want to buy, and home ownership is for you, but now's not the time. And if that's your decision at that time, that's okay. You may decide that home ownership isn't for you at all, and that's okay too. Hey, you may even decide that home ownership is for you. Now is the time, but you can't stand me and don't want to use me as your realtor. That's okay too. Again, the sole purpose of this meeting is to give you all the information that you need to make the best decision for yourself and for your family, regardless of what that decision is. So going out of your way to remove that sales resistance, make people feel comfortable, because if we can't get them to show up, and if we can't get them to listen to us, right, and they break that rapport, and as soon as you break rapport, they don't like you, and you break that rapport, boom, they're not going to listen to you. This stuff is really, really important. I call it selling without selling. Okay, so sales equals problem solving, right? You got to be able to identify the core problems. In order to identify the core problems, you got to get the consumer to be open with you and vulnerable enough to know what that true core problem is. And that's why this stuff that I'm talking about here becomes so important. So an example of this, I had a coaching client call me up the other day that's like, hey man, I'm calling all these expireds, and they're saying they want to sell, but because of interest rates, they can't right now because they can't afford to go out there and buy. I'm like, okay, that's a very easy objection to be able to overcome. Right. So when they say, let's just say they say that to me, hey, we want to buy, but interest rates are too high, we can't. Oh, hey, I 100% understand where you're coming from. I've been doing this for 18 plus years, and I never thought I'd see a time where prices are so much and payments are so much. So yeah, I totally understand where you're coming from and how you feel. And I understand where you're like, you want to make sure that you're together. You're not against each other. The surest way to piss somebody off and shut somebody down is to be combative, prove them wrong, tell them that they're wrong, tell them that their way of thinking is wrong. I don't want to come at them with, historically, interest rates aren't high, right? Because what are they saying to us at that point? They're saying to us, it's nothing about the interest rate. Nobody cares about the interest rate itself. What they're saying is the payments are too high. They're either stretch them too thin out of their comfort zone, or maybe they can't afford it. So after I agree with him, hey, I totally understand, understand where you're coming from. Yeah, it's crazy right now. And it's making tough on a lot of people and a lot of, people in your same situation. Let me ask you this, and I'm not promising that it is a possibility. It could be a shot in the dark. I don't know, but I am never one to give up on a client. So let me ask you this. If there was a possibility, well, we could get your home sold and get it sold for top dollar, where you had the down payment and maybe a little bit extra enough, for a rate buy down, but at least for your down payment, you could cover your own closing costs. Then from there, I'm not sure if you're aware, but if you do a 20% down conventional loan, we can get up to a 9% seller concession. And all of that seller concession can be used to buy down your rate, or you buy down your rate, so we can get you into that affordability, that affordability that you're looking for in that monthly mortgage payment. And again, I'm not saying that this is 100% shot. It could be a shot in the dark, but as I mentioned, I'm not one to give up on my clients. So if it was a possibility where we could get your home sold, find you the home that you look for, or that you want, and make sure that your payments are in your affordability and comfort zone that you're happy with. If that was a possibility, would you still want to move forward with the move here today? If we could make that a possibility, because at that point, either I'm going to get if the interest rate is the true objection, if they're going to be like, yeah, we would absolutely do that. Now, if the interest rate was a cop out and there's another true objection, well, at least now I've been able to identify, okay, that's not the true objection. Now we can identify that, because objections are just concerns, right? So, okay, I need to know what that true concern is. So understanding that sales is problem solving, your job is to be a great problem solver. You got to identify the problem and go out there and see how you can solve those problems, right? You got to know how to overcome objections. I know we've kind of already talked about this here. And always be, as I talked about earlier, always be lowering sales resistance. And the best way to do this is through what I call pre-framing. So before you ask certain questions, making people feel comfortable, right? So as an example, my buyer consultation, I let them know up front that, hey, I'm going to ask you a lot of questions. In the questions that I ask you, some of them might be repetitive. Some might even seem, odd or silly. I'll try to do my best to let you know why I'm asking these questions and why they're important for me to know, and some of them might even seem or come across initially is high pressure. But just to remind you, I've got a very strict, absolute no pressure policy inside of our company. Look, you're the boss. I work for you. I'm here to help you accomplish your real estate goals, regardless of what those real estate goals are. And by no means am I here to try to push pressure you into doing anything that you're uncomfortable with. However, as your real estate professional, in order for me to help serve and support you at the highest possible level, I have to have extreme clarity on what it is that you want, what you're looking for, why it's important to you, what your goals are, what your timeframes are. So in order for me to, again, help serve and support the highest possible level, accomplish your real estate goals, these are really important things that I must know in order to do that. Does that sound okay? Right? So then from there, it gives me permission to ask them things like, okay, hey, in a perfect world, if we could time this out perfectly, when would you be sticking the key into the front door of your new home and moving in your belongings? Then it gives me permission to ask them, okay, hey, if we found this home today and it met all your criteria, are you in a position where you're willing or able to write an offer on that property today if we found your dream home today? Right? Because I pre-frame that correctly. So pre-framing, so that's before you go in and ask the question, make them feel comfortable, but make them understand why you're asking that question, right? Becomes really, really important when it comes to sales. All right, so that is mastering your skill set. All right, and then I'll just leave this up for a second. I'll see if you guys have any questions. I don't know if I see any in here, but I don't want to go over long on time here. But if you guys want to continue following me, here's my website here. We've got a podcast, a bunch of free resources, all of that on there. If you guys want to go check that out, but I'm going to shut up and let you take back over, Tim.
Yeah, I don't see any questions in there either, but if somebody, in case, like I said, if I have this set up a little bit wrong, please raise your hand. Maybe I can see that and we can figure out a way to ask a question. I do have a couple things, just like you, Larry, or Joshua, excuse me. The reason that I invited so many people out here is I want to see every one of these people out there succeed. I mean, you do too. You're very passionate about it. And that's one of the things I've really enjoyed about being with you as one of my coaches, is because you are willing to take that one-on-one at sometimes and personally, help me out there. You'd mentioned a couple of things about how to get listings. with the NODs, notice of defaults. For some of the agents who are new on here, you can get that notice of default list from your title company. And then the out-of-state owner or the non-owner occupieds, those are also something that you can get from your title company. These are the investors who may have to search. As you can see with what Joshua shared, the credit card debt and the way people are living today is just so much higher than it has been in the past, and they may not have thought about selling this place. Make sure you're aware, though, of the laws. If it is tenant occupied, make sure that your seller is aware of the laws and what they have to do to get those people out of the home and the cost that it may be to them. But again, it's another opportunity. I know I've done it too. Sophia, I don't know if you see that, Joshua. Sophia is asking what type of YouTube. You do see it?
Yep.
Okay, cool. I'll let you answer.
Okay, cool. So just for those of you that aren't seeing Sophia's question, what type of YouTube videos have you seen it be the most effective? Short form, long form, property previews, etc. Thank you. Yeah, so this is a great question. Now, I talked earlier about timeline, understanding timeline for the lead source, right? So you can come up with a great fall protocol, but this also helps us when it comes to business planning inside of our business. So one thing that I just want to be very upfront with is YouTube is a slightly longer gameplay. So if you do everything right with your YouTube channel, on average, it's going to be about 9 months before you start seeing consistent good business coming from that. And that's what we see, and look, some of my coaching clients and some of my own agents, might start having success 3 months, 5 months, but as a whole, on average, it's about 9 months before we start seeing things to really pop there. So then from there, when it comes to the video content itself, my recommendation, now I recommend to start with a video a week. Now, what you want to get to is 2 videos a week. So like one, Monday or Thursday or Tuesday or Thursday releases. That's really the sweet spot. 2 a week is not just twice as good. It's like 5 times as good as 1 a week. But 1 a week in the beginning is that consistency. Like it's a lot, right? Like it can take 10 hours between research, shooting, getting everything done and uploaded, so it kind of helps you build your way up there. But what YouTube, because for YouTube to really kick in, and these are just important things. I will answer your question, I promise, Sophie, but if you don't understand these things, like I don't care how good the content is that you're putting out there. So then from there, YouTube, because the power of YouTube is like their algorithm is like your own personal assistant, because you'll get to the point where 50, 60, 70% of your views are coming from YouTube suggests and recommends. So you really want that algorithm to kick in, right? Well, for YouTube to really put that algorithm to work for you, or that assistant to work for you, they need to ensure that you are a consistent content creation partner. There's no shortage of people that go out there and start creating content for 6 weeks and like, oh, screw this is harder than I thought. Peace out, right? So you get, so same time, same day, every single release, with that. Then from there, and look, you can shoot with your phone. You don't need fancy equipment. Just have a good microphone and phones shoot at 4K, all of that today. Then from there, okay, the type of videos that are most effective are going to be, the top reasons. So, okay, if I'm in Portland, top X reasons to live in Portland, so the top 5 reasons to move to Portland, Oregon, top 5 pros and cons of living in Portland, Oregon. Like a lot of the negatives, like here are the top 10 reasons why you never should move to Portland, Oregon. Like, believe it or not, that shit pops, man. Cost of living in. People are very interested in cost of living in comparisons. If I'm in Portland, because you're also going to get people that are looking at Portland versus Seattle, pros and cons of living in Portland or Seattle. Like, which one should you choose? Just because those that I coach in Portland, I know that a lot of people, because YouTube gives you the analytics where you can see people that are watching your videos, what else they're searching, right? So I even have some coaching clients of mine that live and work in Portland. They don't work in Seattle, but they create a bunch of content out of Seattle just for that very reason. So your cost of living in, pros and cons, here top reason, 5 reasons to not move here. Then from there, lifestyle videos can be very effective. Some property tours, like especially on new builds, can work really well as you're going through them, but because with YouTube, you can do shorts, and that's going to be good for vanity metrics and subscribers. But where the business is going to come from is from the long form. So that sweet spot is really going to be about 16 minutes, and then from there, you want to have the right framework for your videos. So the framework is, okay, we're going to do the hook, because as Tim said earlier, the average human mind has a less attention span than a goldfish now, right? So you got to like, what is that hook? What is that attention grab? Like, so instead of being like, okay, I'm here with a market update for Portland, be like, oh my God, like you're not going to believe what is going on in the real estate market right now in Portland. Things are so crazy. Things are so nuts, man. I can't believe, we're seeing what we're seeing right now, right? Like, coming at there, and not that you got to be that animated. I'm personally not with mine, even though I know I'm talking fast here today, but I got a lot to cram into a short amount of time. So, okay, you nail the intro, the hook, then you get into the intro, right? So that, because if you do not give people precise call to actions, they're never like, it doesn't matter how many views, how good the business is, right? So that might be, hey, just in case you knew the channel is first time here, my name's Joshua Smith. I'm a local real estate professional here in the Phoenix metropolitan area. And hey, as much as I love creating these YouTube videos about all, living here in Phoenix Metro, I love even more helping my amazing real estate clients buy and sell real estate here in the Phoenix Metro. So if you or anybody that is thinking of buying, selling, or just has any real estate questions or needs, feel free to call, text, email me anytime. Information's below, right? So just a quick, 15-second intro with that call to action. Then you get into the meat. So whatever the core meat is, the pros, cons, and then at the end, you have an ending call to action. So hopefully that's, helpful there. All right, looks like we got one other question.
Can I expand on that a little bit?
Yeah, of course,
we're gonna get some more information on help for that. I forget who the questioner was with Larry here shortly too. So stay tuned for that part too.
Perfect. All right. So Tara says, this one to be quick. What's the best way to master your listing presentation? Okay. First step is you need to get a great listing presentation together, right? So, and by that, like, what I did, because when I first, I didn't, I wasn't born with, skills or ability, right? Like, I was the worst listing presenter on the planet when I first got in this industry. Like I was literally trying to sell how thick my cardstock flyer brochures were versus the like my conversion rates were like 40%. It was the worst, so then from there, I'm like, okay, I'm committed to getting this dialed in and becoming a world-class listing presenter, right? So then from there, what I did is I went out and I started studying what other top agents were doing and top team leaders were doing for their listing presentation. And sometimes this takes going out of our market, right? Going to other top, because you'll be amazed at how giving top producers are. And look, some of these I had to buy them, I had to go jump on an airplane to go check out. But hey, man, like if you convert at 90% versus, 40%, you're able to crush these. That can make the difference of, 100 grand, 200 grand, $1 million a year in your business. Like to me, it's worth it. So then from there, right? Then from there, it's okay. Now you've got the presentation, right? Or you put something that's pretty good enough at least. Then what I recommend to do, and this is what I did, is okay, I'd go work my crazy work day, right? Then I'd go, after I spent a little time with the family, I'd set up at the kitchen table every single night, and I pretended as if there were a couple on the other side of that table, and I practiced it for 3 hours every single night, right? I mean, like, okay, how did Jordan practice, or master layups or free throws or whatever? Dude, he, shot him every single day since he was 4 years old. Like, and you don't like to get damn good. You don't need to spend a lifetime with this, but like what I push my agents to do is get 1,000 reps in your first year, and you will crush anybody in our marketplace when it comes going head to head on buyer consultation or listing presentation. So I just make them practice and role play their presentations, get those 1,000 reps in as quickly as possible. And on that way to the 1,000, you get pretty damn amazing. Because here's the thing, it's all about confidence. It's not about the presentation. It's about the confidence. How does anybody know, Tara, if you are the best listing agent for it? They don't actually know, right? They have a belief. And so much of sales is transference of conviction, transference of belief. So they have a feeling, they have a belief that you are the best, right? They have this, this internal feeling, right? That feeling is transferred based on the confidence that you exude. So by getting those reps in, that is going to allow you to gain your confidence on your presentations, right? So that's where that's how you go out there and master it. Like you're not gonna, it'll take you a decade to master it if you're just trying to master it by doing actual live listing. Like you don't get enough at bats with actual live listing presentations to be able to master it. And that's the most costly way to do it. Oh, you're muted still, Tim.
I think that was it. There was another one about how to use AI in this one. I believe Larry will be addressing a lot of those things there. So we'll wait for Larry to get that. Joshua, thank you very much for joining us today. And so a quick question for you. If there's one thing you'd like our audience to take away from your presentation today, what would that be?
Look, treat your business as a professional. Don't be an amateur. Amateurs are going to continue to get punished and just get, need to come up with a better term, but are going to get murdered in this again, economic winter that we go deeper into. So it's professionals are going to go out there and thrive. And so just commit to being a professional. What do professionals do? They treat their business as a business. They master the skill sets. Yeah, right. They're not just working, they're also prepping, practicing. So just be, commit to being a professional, and it's like fishing with dynamite once you do that.
I did a quick, I used some AI this morning. So I was asking, and I want everybody here to sit there and say, okay, what did you make last year? And how many hours did you really put in? Okay, just because you showed up to the office, talk for people for 4 hours doesn't make it an 8-hour day. But take what you made last year gross, divided by the amount of hours that you put in, and Google or Chat GPT, who makes that. So I just did $100 base an hour. Who makes $100 an hour? And look at those professions. And those professions are putting time, money, effort, practice into making that amount of money. And we need to be doing the same thing. So thank you, Joshua, very much for being here today and sharing your extensive knowledge. I appreciate it, and the experience to help us all improve ourselves and our business in 2024 and beyond. Thanks again.
Yeah, it was an honor. Thank you, guys.
All right. So now we'll delve into the world of AI and its applications in real estate. AI is revolutionizing our industry, and you might be surprised at how it's evolving beyond content generation. Our next speaker, Larry Hales, has been a key player in Vancouver's real estate scene for over a decade, helping many of the area's top real estate agents and mortgage lenders master the digital marketing world. I've known Larry and worked with Larry for probably over 10 years now. Larry is truly a real estate marketing nerd, obsessed with AI-driven marketing strategies. He's also a marketing consultant, a speaker, and author, and Larry is a seasoned professional in the area of real estate marketing with technology. With extensive experience spanning over 30 years, he brings a wealth of knowledge and his expertise to his consulting, his speaking engagements, his teaching, and his writing contributions to Inman News. Larry's areas of specialization include artificial intelligence, brand development, lead generation and conversion, customer relationship management, CRM, social media, and tailored marketing strategies specifically designed for the real estate and mortgage industries. Drawing on his diverse background in advertising, photography, design, and printing, Larry possesses a unique perspective that encompasses multiple facets of the industry. His deep understanding of the digital marketing further enhances his ability to provide comprehensive insights and innovative solutions. Local real estate mortgage professionals in need of guidance on navigating technology and optimizing their marketing efforts consistently turn to Larry, me one of them, for his expertise. His ability to help those frustrated and uncertain about leveraging the right tools and platforms and strategies sets him apart as a trusted advisor in the field. Beyond his professional pursuits, Larry is a passionate trail runner, hiker, mountaineer, rock and ice climber, and an avid enthusiast of the great outdoors. In June of 23, Larry kicked things up a notch by starting his own marketing agency and diving into his AI tech startup, Marketing Hero. Excuse me. When he's not brainstorming strategies or coding away, you'll find Larry out in nature, running trails, conquering mountains, and embracing the beauty of the Pacific Northwest. So again, if you have any questions, please drop them in the Q&A and we'll get to them at the end, or maybe if we have enough time, may open up all the mics. So if you do, please be considerate and raise your hand if you do have a question. So without further ado, please help me welcome Larry Hales.
Wow. I hope I can live up to even half of that. Holy smokes.
You've proven it to me way beyond that, Larry. Thank you.
Thanks, man. Thanks. Really appreciate it. So I'm kind of, I took some notes while Joshua was talking too, because I kind of want to bridge off of a little bit of what he was talking about. But what I really want to focus on today is I want to help you guys future-proof your business. Because I think that's super important aspect to focus on right now with respect to AI, because the game is changing, and the game is changing very, very rapidly. And I think that there's a lot of tools out there and a lot of technology and a lot of things out there that can help you develop that sniper rifle instead of that shotgun approach. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take you guys on a little journey first. And we're going to go kind of back in time, look at the way that technology has shaped the industry, because I think a lot of the lessons that we get from the past we can use going forward. Now, without a doubt, like the internet changed everything for real estate. 2000, we'll look back at 2000 when the internet really started blossoming. The dot-com bubble was brought about. Property listings became virtual. Agents and brokerage because now reach a global audience. So there's all kinds of ways that the internet really helped the industry take shape into what it is today. And then 2007, this guy brings out this little device. Look at how small that iPhone is compared to today. That's crazy. I found that picture from 2007. It's the very first iPhone. But it brought in, and smartphones ushered in like this new wave of communication. And then shortly thereafter, I don't know if we should thank Zuckerberg for this or not, but social media kind of became this really powerful social media tool, a marketing tool, where agents could showcase their properties and build a brand. So you can see how all of these technologies kind of bridged on one another. Without the internet, there would be no smartphone, and without the smartphone, there would probably be not much in the form of social media. I think we can all agree on that. Now, here we come. Here's the next wave. The next wave is AI, and we are on the brink of something that I think is probably the most transformative thing that we will see in our lifetime. We are probably going to look back on 2023 and say, that was the year that things really, really changed. Okay. And I thought this quote was from Sundar over there at Google, that artificial intelligence could have a more profound impact in humanity than fire, electricity, and the internet. So I think just that statement alone is mind-boggling to me, that something can have that much of a profound effect. Now, how did I get here? Give you guys a little insight on how I got here. 1983, I bought my very first computer. That was 40 years ago. I've been a computer nerd for 40 years, you guys. And as you can see, I mowed a lot of lawns, and I didn't spend money on haircuts, good haircuts. I spent it on computers. I remember my mom was so mad when I came home with that new computer because it was the equivalent of about 2 months in rent. So if you can imagine what rent is today, and your 13-year-old son comes home with a device that costs 2 months in rent, I can see why she would be livid. But just fast forward short, 10 years later, I'm teaching at Clark College. I'm teaching technology classes at the ripe old age of 23. I'm teaching technology to people sometimes 10, 15, 20 years older than me. And it was at the college that I stumbled on something pretty revolutionary. And it wasn't by accident. I was introduced to it, and I saw the World Wide Web for the very first time. And I knew as soon as I saw that, I mean, there are certain things that you remember in history, like where you were when certain things happened. And I remember seeing the internet for the very first time. And it was in a tool called Mosaic at the time, pre-Netscape, pre-AOL, pre any of that stuff. And I remember like looking at the person who was showing me this, she was another faculty member. And I said, this is going to change everything. And she said, don't you know it? And by the way, I think the internet did kind of change everything. Right? Change every facet of our life. From everything that we do, we are 100% dependent on the internet today. I think there's no doubt about that. And then fast forward, I spent about 15, 20 years in graphic design and marketing and printing. And then I went to work for a title company as their technology nerd. And as you can see, suddenly tech nerds were cool once again. Well, I thought they were cool. So you guys might recognize a few of those faces in there. But I went to work for a tech company. Well, I went to work for a title company as their tech guy. And that's kind of how I got into real estate marketing, which is what I think is probably one of the most fascinating aspects of marketing myself. And then since then, I've been teaching real estate agents how to utilize technology to build their business, to help them grow, to get more leads, get more at-bats, and develop that sniper rifle that we were talking about before. So the one thing that I've known, one thing I've learned from the last 15 years of working with real estate agents is I understand your frustrations, your pain points, especially when it comes to marketing and technology. So I kind of take that to heart, and I try to explain things in ways or make things easier for people to understand so that you can incorporate technology into your business. That's kind of the way that I've been doing it. So enough about me. Take a little back in journey here. We're going to go back to 1995. Anybody in here probably remembers 1995. Remember the baggy jeans, grunge rock. It was a good time. 1995 was a great year. And something else was it wasn't born that year, but it was pretty close to being born that year. It was this little internet thing right here, World Wide Web. Okay. It's revolutionized every single facet of our life. In fact, I'd be willing to bet that if I asked you, would you rather go for a week or how about a month? We'll make it a good. Would you rather go a month without your car or a week without your car? Or without the internet. Sorry. Would you rather go for a month without your internet or a month without your car? That's what I wanted to say. And most of you would probably say like, oh, I'm not going without the internet for a month, right? It's a utility now. It's a part of our life. It's like electricity now. Okay. I would say without a doubt, probably the most profound invention of our lifetime until AI came out. So let's look at how real estate was done pre-internet. Pre-internet, things were a little bit different. The way that we marketed properties was through print media mostly. Before the advent of the digital MLS system, they had these books that came out, and every time I show this picture of the books, I have a couple of people who were in real estate at that time just kind of giggle at those books, like, "Oh man, yeah." And they called it book day when the books showed up to the brokerages. They called it book day, right? So that's how big of a deal it was. That's how people marketed their home back in the days, right? And it was a lot of print marketing, not anything real estate or internet related just yet. We advertised in newspapers, buyers on the hunt for their dream home. They searched on the newspapers. I remember when we were buying our first house and we got the Sunday Time, the Sunday edition. Man, that thing was like super, super thick, and it was almost all real estate, you guys. The Sunday edition was almost all real estate. And when real estate agents stopped advertising in the newspapers, what happened to the newspapers? They crashed. Okay. Home books, there were another way to go. Home books are still in use today. And then the internet comes along. Along comes the World Wide Web. And I would say that real estate pretty much latched on to the technology. It gave us the ability. Now we had email, we had websites, we had digital MLS systems. In fact, the very last home book at RMLS in Portland, Vancouver, was printed in December of 1999, and that wasn't that long ago. I mean, it was 23 years ago, almost 24 years ago now. But that shows you like the impact that the internet had in the sweeping technology wave that hit. Now, fast forward a couple more years, 2005, these guys pop up. Early 2000s, you start seeing these real estate portals, and it's because they had the data from the digital MLS systems, and somebody figured out that data is the new oil. We're going to take that data, we're going to put it into a platform where people can go and shop for their homes, get data, property data, market data, all of that stuff. Okay. And so these, internet portals were born, and the Zestimate was born, and Zillow leads were born. I know those are all probably bad words in your guys's, world, but it gave the consumer a little bit more power to be able to go and find those properties for themselves without the need of having to call a real estate agent right away. I don't know if that was a good thing or a bad thing. And now comes AI. Okay, biggest tech game changer in our lifetime. Like I said, 2023 is going to be the year we look back and say that's when things changed. That's when AI became mainstream. In fact, you can't get away from AI now. Every single time I turn on the news, every single time I open my my social media, it's all about AI, and people are talking about it. It's become mainstream. And the way that I know it's become mainstream is if people who aren't in technology are asking me questions about it, then I know it's become mainstream. And most of the questions I get around it are the fear of AI, because I think there are some valid points, about the fears around AI. But I don't feel like the fear we have around it is a justification for just turning your backs. It would be the same as if a real estate agent in 2005 said, "Oh, that internet stuff, I don't use that internet stuff." Email? No, I don't like email. I like writing handwritten letters. So I don't think it's a good enough reason to just turn your back on it. I think the you have to embrace it. You have to learn about it and find a way to incorporate it into your business. Now, the fear around new tech, by the way, isn't new. They had the same fear around every single technology in the last 200 years. When electricity was invented, the first president with electricity in the White House said he didn't want it in the White House because he was afraid that it was going to kill every single person in there. Okay. So the fear around new tech has been there always. It's never going to go away. So it's totally understandable. Now, I found this quote. This is really cool. So certainly this modern miracle has its usefulness, but for every labor-saving benefit it brings us, something we fear is lost in the trade. Now, if I told you that this was written about electricity in 1900, you'd probably say, oh, yeah, that sounds about right. And if I told you it was written about AI in 2023, you'd say, yeah, that sounds about right. Okay, this was a quote in the early 1900s about electricity. Okay, so you can see the fear around it is pretty justified, but I don't think it's a reason for us to turn our backs, because here's the thing: the AI genie is out to November 2023 or November 2022, when ChatGPT opened its doors and said, here we are. That was the day that a lot of people learned about AI. The genie was let out of the bottle. He's given us unlimited wishes, okay? And he's not going back. And this is so far, this is when I tell people that I work in AI or that I have an AI tool, or my own sister texted me and she said, how soon before the machines are going to take over? I'm like, we are so far from this right here. It's not even funny. Hollywood's portrayal of it is kind of exaggerated, but in reality, here's the reality. AI is emotionless, operating only on programming and data, and that's it, at least for now. Okay. So what you might be concerned about, the next phase of AI, is what we call AGI, and it stands for artificial general intelligence. It's where the AI can learn from itself and operate on its own. Okay. And some reports say that we're 18 months away. Some reports say that we're not very far away at all. Like, we might be closer to 6 months. Some reports even say that ChatGPT has developed AGI and they just haven't released it yet. Okay, so this is probably what you're going to see next. So you're going to hear AGI talk quite a bit. There is Dr. Alan Thompson. If you go to that website right there, lifearchitect.ai/AGI, it's going to give you like a countdown timer, and every single time a new technological advancement comes out, it shows how much closer we are to AGI. In October, just this last October, it was at 55. Now we're at 56. So you can see, like, it's coming. It is coming. Now, a really common fear around AI is like how many jobs are going to be lost. Okay, when the internet was announced, jobs were lost because of the internet. But what ended up happening is the internet created more jobs than it took away. The same thing's going to happen with AI. In fact, we're already seeing new jobs being created because of AI. And the workers that are displaced they're going to be displaced no matter what. But I think that the ability that AI is going to give us, we're going to see more jobs come out of it than it takes away. Now, will AI replace a real estate agent? I asked that question at a conference not too long ago, and somebody raised his hand. He said, absolutely, I think AI can replace a real estate agent. And I was stunned, because I don't think AI can replace a real estate agent. And he said, well, it can replace meaningless tasks, finding a home, opening a door, paperwork, those kinds of things. But I still feel like in our industry, you need that human connection. That's where the real connection happens, is in that human, that one-to-one communication. And I don't feel like that can be replaced by a robot. I just don't. Now, can it replace your transaction coordinator? Absolutely, it can replace your transaction coordinator. Can it replace your marketing department? Yeah, absolutely, it can replace a marketing department. Guess what? I own a marketing agency, and I've found ways already to have it automate and replace the job that I do. So now I don't have to work 6 hours a day. I can work an hour a day and charge 6. How about that? It kind of works in the background. So I'm going to go out on a limb and say yes, that it can replace your transaction coordinator, by the way. Now, ethical concerns, there are some ethical concerns with AI because it is trained on data. And if that data is biased, then it's going to show that bias in the output. I've found a way to kind of circumvent that when you're prompting the engine here. You can tell it to not be biased or to maintain a non-discriminatory, which is my worry when you're using this to create content, that it's going to create content that might be discriminatory later on. So there is some ethical considerations. This is what really scares me right here, is the scammers. Anytime there's a new technology, the scammers are the first ones to latch onto it. Internet, they were the first ones to latch onto it and use it for evil. Same with the smartphone, text messaging, email, social media. I mean, you name it, the scammers are out there, but this is going to probably help them take it to a whole different level. Have you seen the voice cloning that they do? I clone people's voices. My clients ask me like, hey, can you create some videos for me? I clone their voice. I put their voice into a voiceover video for them. And it's surprisingly accurate. So that kind of thing is something that we really need to keep an eye out for, especially your clients, because if you have a YouTube channel and somebody clones your voice and they call your clients pretending to be you, giving you wire instructions or saying things or something like that, I think there might be something there. Might have to look a little closer to that. Now, how can a busy real estate agent who's maybe just somewhat tech savvy, maybe a little tiny bit tech savvy, how can they use AI without being completely overwhelmed? I think that's kind of the question that I get asked probably the most. And I always say it starts with your pain points. What are the main pain points of what you do? Find a tool to utilize and focus on that one tool first. Get good at it. Okay, that's my advice. And I really feel like the best tool right now, the most user-friendly, is probably the very first one that was out. ChatGPT is probably the best and most user-friendly. In fact, they just had an update yesterday. My GPT got updated today. You guys, I'm going to be up until like 2:00 in the morning putting something new together because I can't wait to utilize this new technology and show you guys what I have planned. But I think ChatGPT is probably the one tool that can completely transform your business without a doubt. Now there's so many ways to use it. I've found so many ways to use this in real estate. It's almost mind-boggling. Data analysis, you can plug data into ChatGPT and have it analyze that data and tell you whether maybe market trends are skewing one way or the other. I know Joshua put in a whole bunch of market data. You can import that in and say, based off of past data, can you tell me maybe some prediction of the future or what the market could be doing next? Okay, so data analysis, I use it to learn stuff all the time. I put my thoughts into ChatGPT and say, hey, I got an idea for XYZ. What do you think about that? And it'll give me analysis of it and then tell me like, oh, yeah, hey, have you thought about this or this or this? I'm always using this tool to help me learn. I've created buyer personas for your listings in ChatGPT, and I'm going to show you that in a second. I got a download for you here in a second. But what I've done is I asked ChatGPT to go in, put in a property and said, tell me who the ideal buyers are for this property, including demographics, psychographics, pain points, and marketing strategy. And it gives me a complete list of everybody who's a potential buyer for that house and what their pain points are, and how to market to them and how to find them. Massive, like a complete mind blown on that. The content ideation, like if you're running out of ideas for content, ChatGPT is great at that. But for marketing and copywriting is probably where I think the biggest focus is, and where most of you are probably using. Actually, most of you are probably using it for listing descriptions. Okay, I taught a class on ChatGPT. Can you believe it? It was almost a year ago. In 1 month, it will be a year that I taught this class. And I remember when I figured it out, I had this mind meltdown one day. I was like, oh, I figured it out. I know how to make listing descriptions now. And I did this class. There were like 300 people. I maxed out my Zoom. And it was great. I mean, it was a fantastic shortcut. The adoption rate was super, super high. And then something weird happened. I started seeing the word boasting on every listing description. I started seeing culinary enthusiasts dream kitchen or chef's delight. So like a lot of them started sounding very robotic or repetitive. And it wasn't, it was for a multitude of reasons, but one of the main reasons is we weren't giving it enough context. Okay. And number two, you can tell now, I think we can all tell if we look at a listing description that it was written by AI. I can look at it right now and tell you, oh yeah, that was written by AI for sure. The problem with it is they're written with the data in the context that we give it. They're not written for the ideal buyer for that property. It's great, but it sounds super robotic and it sounds repetitive. And we're not selling robots houses, right? We sell houses to people. So we have to make sure that it sounds like us, sounds like people talking to actual people. Okay. So here's the deal. If the output from ChatGPT isn't all that great, there's only one person to blame, and it's not the AI. I have a lot of people that tell me, oh, I tried to use that ChatGPT thing, and man, it just made a whole bunch of stuff up, and it was all wrong, and I had to edit the whole thing, and it was completely worthless. Well, there's a reason for that, is you didn't prompt the engine right. So I look at it this way. This is a manual transmission. Okay. We call it a millennial theft deterrent in my house. Now, what I'm going to show you is kind of the manual approach. So if you're driving a car and you have that, that manual shifting, ChatGPT is great at creating the content, but you have to know how to drive it. It's all in the prompt, right? The prompt, you guys are going to hear this buzzword a lot. Prompting the AI is the most important part of this. And what you'll find is a lot of people have had these prompts out there where you can just copy and paste them in. And most of the time they work great. Okay. And I get it. Like, it's akin to writing computer code. It's not super easy. And I know that you're real estate agents, you're not code writers or prompt engineers, right? But here's the kicker. If you get really, really good at prompting and you get really, really good at ChatGPT, it's your superpower. You can take this and it can be your sniper rifle going forward. That's the power of this tool right here. Prompting is not super easy. And here's where I tell everybody, when it comes to prompting, there's a couple of major obstacles you have to overcome first. First, tell it who you are in your profession. That gives it enough context because it's going to write it in what it feels is the most appropriate manner for who you are in your profession. So you could say, act as a local real estate agent named John Smith. I need a listing description for a home with following amenities. Be clear on the outcome that you're looking for. You have to be super clear, like over clear. You have to be over contextual. I'm looking for a home with a listing description for a home with the following amenities. Write this in a friendly tone and an informative style. Make sure the description resonates with the ideal buyer for this home while complying with discrimination laws around selling real estate. The output should be in a single paragraph that is under 1,200 characters. That sounds really, really complex, right? So it's not. It's kind of like computer code. So be clear in giving it the outcome you're looking for. Give it as much context as possible. When it pulls from the AI, it has 70 billion data sets. If you ask it for something very generic, it's going to pull from that whole 70 billion. But if you give it a lot of context, it's going to pull from that only like maybe 1 billion instead of 70 billion. Okay. So give it as much context. And then the last thing is pretty much a given. You have to adjust and edit your output. Actually, go back. You have to pick your tone and your writing style first. If you set it for default, it's going to use a default tone, which is, I think, like professional and informative or something. I asked ChatGPT, what's your default tone if somebody doesn't ask for a tone? And it was like, oh, I try to maintain a professional approach with intellectual, blah, blah, blah. You have to put in your tone and writing style in there. Now, if you don't know your tone and writing style, I'm going to show you a cheat code here in a second. But the last thing is when you get the output, when the output comes to you, don't just copy and paste it. You have to edit it. You have to go in and check it. You have to make sure that it's accurate, make sure it's written in the way, make sure it doesn't have stuff in there that's made up. Okay. I see a lot of people that just like, oh yeah, that looks good, copy and paste it and throw it in there. Don't. You have to fine tune it and tweak it. Now, here's how you build your voice tone and your style. You can actually use Chat GPT. You can, here's what I did. I built a prompt and it says, hey, give me 3 writing samples. And it'll analyze your tone and your style and who you are and how you say things. You plug that into Chat GPT. And the beauty of that is the next time you go to prompt, you don't have to tell it, act as a local real estate agent named John Smith. And you don't have to say, write this in a friendly tone and informative style and make sure the description resonates with the ideal buyer for this home. It's going to have all of that automatically built in. So everything that you write in Chat GPT, it already knows who you are, how you say things, what you say, how you say it, who your ideal client is, how long you've been in the business. It knows all of that data ahead of time before it makes any of this stuff. So I'm telling you, it's one of the most genius things I've ever seen in Chat GPT. So if you want to download that guide, there's just hit that link right there or scan that code. The next thing too is I developed buyer persona. So if you have a listing, we can say like, hey, I have a listing here at Northwest 12th Avenue. Tell me who the ideal buyers for this property are. It's going to analyze it and give you probably 2 or 3, maybe 4 ideal buyers. It's going to give you their demographics, their psychographics, their behaviors, their pain points, and a marketing strategy. It's going to give you all of that data right there in ChatGPT. And then you can create your strategy from that. In fact, you can say, hey, I want to market to these individuals on Instagram. Create me 4 Instagram posts for each buyer persona. And now you have 16 pieces of content to go out over the course of the next, week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, however long it takes you to put out 16 pieces of content. Okay. Now, all of that is like, that probably already blew your mind. And I want to tell you that there is a cheat code. So if you're not techie and prompting AI is like teaching your grandpa how to use emojis, you're probably not alone, right? I know AI is supposed to make our life easier. And if I have to learn how to prompt this stupid robot to get what I want, it's not making it easier. It's getting easier, by the way. Pretty soon they're going to have voice commands. In fact, ChatGPT launched it last week. They have a ChatGPT voice command. So kind of like Siri. And I started asking it questions yesterday, like, "Hey, can it act as a therapist?" And it was talking to me in a voice, almost like out of the Jetsons. It was absolutely crazy. But so if you're on the non-techie side and you're like, "Hey, I need something a little bit easier than that. I'm super busy. I'm trying to develop relationships with my clients and take it to the next level, and I don't want to spend time learning AI." I created a cheat code. And I call it Marketing Hero. It's something that I started developing about 4 months ago. What I did is I took what I learned about the real estate marketing industry. I observed, I listened, I recognized your wants, your needs, your challenges, your frustrations, and I built a tool with all of those things in mind. And the way that I kind of envisioned it is kind of like having a little tech nerd in your back pocket right there. Okay. So Marketing Hero, I made it super, super easy. If you want to go check it out, I just released it for beta 1 week ago yesterday. It's app.marketinghero.ai. And what it does is it creates a persona of you. Here, I'm gonna pop it up on screen really quick. Boom. There we go. Here's Marketing Hero. I'm gonna sign up with my Google account here. And the first thing it's gonna do, if I haven't already done it, it's gonna say, hey, we need your persona. So what I did is I created a test, and based off of the results of this test, it's going to tell you, let's take the quiz really, really quick. Let's just throw in a couple of weird answers in here and we'll see what it comes up with. I got 8 questions and you answer those 8 questions. And after you continue, it's going to tell you, hey, based off of these results, here's what I think your writing style and your voice style might be. And I can say, oh yeah, that's definitely, I'm definitely thought provoking for sure. That's my voice. It's very thought provoking. What's your writing style? Oh, my voice style is, let's do informative. I like informative. Sure. We'll hit continue, and then I'm going to name this Larry's Pro Persona 7. Now I have my own persona built into Marketing Hero. Anything that I write is going to be written in my authentic tone and style. This is what I love about it. Now I can add my listing in here. So let's say I need to generate some copy or generate some content specifically for my listing. I can come in and say, well, I have a file. Let me download. I'm going to here we go, grab a photo in here. I'm going to put in the address, which is 8405 Northwest 12th. It's going to automatically pull all of the data from that listing and pull it into Marketing Hero for me. The only thing I have to do is put in a list price and an MLS number, and then add the amenities. Now, however many, there's a ton of amenities in here to choose from. You don't have to choose them all, but choose the most compelling ones that you think are going to resonate with the ideal buyers. That's how I look at it. So I already created one. Let's go back in here. And I have one with the amenities already built into it. You can see. And I'm going to, let's create a listing description. So I'm going to come in here and say, create a listing description using my voice. Let's do an authoritative voice with a influential writing style. And my word limit, let's do 225. That's about average. And then I'm going to hit the generate button. What it does is it goes out, it utilizes a couple of different AI technologies to help us write this content, puts it into the description, Boy, artificial intelligence needs to get a little faster. That's what I think. So we'll just give this a second. How I built this is on the subscription that you have. Based on your subscription, you have a certain amount of words that you can use every month. Subscription plans start at like $19.87 a month too. So I wanted to make something useful, affordable, and something that somebody would actually use. So you can see, here's my listing description. Looks pretty good. I can go in and edit this if I need to edit it as well. But I'm just going to hit the save button. And there we go. Now I have a listing and a listing description. I can copy and paste that into my MLS. Now check this out. Here's where I took it one step further is, what if I wanted some social media content specifically for these listings? Well, you can see I've already created 6 pieces of social media. But let's say I need another one. So let's say I'm going to do for Instagram, I need 3 more posts for Instagram. Words per post, we'll say 100. And I want some calls to action on there. So like some people, they have to have like their license number on. I know in California, you have to put your license number on every piece of marketing that you do. But I think it's important just to have your name and your phone number. And if your listing has its own property URL or own landing page, you can put that in there as well. And there's my persona right here. I'm just going to hit generate. What it does is it's going to go out, generate those 3 pieces of content. It's going to bring them back over here into Marketing Hero. Now, good news and bad news. Actually, good news, we're in beta. The bad news is I'm still waiting on Meta to give me the integration so that I can actually schedule these posts from Marketing Hero. That was my goal all along, is not only to have these posts written for you with your contact info and all that fun stuff already built into there, but to be able to go in and say, I want to schedule this right here. So that's coming soon. As soon as Meta gets off their chookus and verifies my business, and gets my app running, That's kind of the goal with Marketing Hero is like we're going to create the content and then you can schedule it out from here. So now look at that. I have 9 pieces of content. Imagine if you went into a listing appointment and you already had 9 pieces of content ready to go. Like, oh, I already have 9 social media pieces ready for you. I think that would be mind blowing for any seller. So the other thing we are incorporating in is email marketing. Now, you don't have the ability to send it out through email marketing. So what the process, how this would work is you would write the content here, copy it and paste it into whatever CRM you happen to be using or whatever email marketing platform that you're using as well. We have direct mail. So if you're using either postcards or a letter to the neighbor, so this is just so that you can print and maybe hand deliver to the neighborhood, or if you had a postcard, if you wanted to just maybe just like a quick paragraph for a postcard to go to the neighbors. So AI is going to write that for you as well. This is what I love. I love the video scripts. These are absolutely killer. Imagine if you like had your videographer at your listing and they were like, "Hey, check this out. I gave you a scene. These are all the shots that I need you to have for my videos." And you get that's what this video script does. It says like exterior shot, a glimpse of the elegant bonus room, covered patio showcasing beautiful garden, home office, modern kitchen, highlight the security system, the skylights, sun-filled room. So it creates the video script for you and then just tells you what to say during that video script right here. So it gives you the narration as well as the scene selection, which I think is pretty cool. And then the last thing, we're going to do classified ads. Now, I call them classified ads because technically that's what they are. We have the ability to create classified ads right now for just 2 platforms, Craigslist and Facebook Marketplace. The goal is to get Facebook ads integrated into here. So it's actually going to create the Facebook ads for you, integrate the audiences, and actually help you push it out to those ideal clients who are shopping for this house right here, right through Marketing Hero. So you don't have to learn Facebook Ads Manager. You don't have to have all that fun, fancy stuff going. You just have to know how to use AI to get your marketing out there. So that's kind of Marketing Hero in a nutshell. Again, I wanted something that was super easy for anybody to use, make it super economical as well. I didn't want something that, by the way, I'm subscriptioned out too. Like I started my business 4 months ago, and I think just to create this tool, I think there's about 8 different technology APIs and subscriptions that I have to subscribe to just in order to get it to where it is now. So I understand the whole subscription thing. I hate monthly subscriptions, by the way. I absolutely despise them. So, and I know real estate agents do too. So I wanted something that was economical, but actually user friendly. Let's see. I know there's probably going to be Q&A for AI. I just know it. How about you, Tim? What do you think about AI?
I love it. I've been using it for quite some time now. There is a lot of things that you could do with it. The listing descriptions was the worst part of my job. I always hated typing up a listing description because I do not know how to do it. So when Chat GPT came along, I think you were the one who introduced it to me. I was like, yes. And yes, you do have to notice that all of a sudden it's kind of like using the same stager for your house.
Mm,
All your
yeah.
homes have the same furniture in it. Every time you go to list a house, they wonder if it's a new home or not. So you do have to make some changes and stuff like that in there. But it's also with or without your program. I mean, you make it so much easier for us to do these things. But even without that, you have places like ChatGPT. Somebody was asking earlier a question about, how can we use this to help us with a listing presentation or whatever. Copy, some of the information that you have in your listing presentation, copy a email or copy a text that you want to send, or even ask ChatGPT or any of the other sites, hey, give me 10 pieces of content that buyers are looking for this currently in the market.
Yep.
Give me 10 pieces of content that sellers are looking for in the market, or 10 of the top most asked questions, and they'll give those to you. And then you can take that question and even expand on it and say, hey, okay, write me a YouTube video script that I can do, and they can generate those types of things too. So that if you just ask it some simple questions, you're only going to get short and simple answers.
Right.
But if you ask more detailed questions on what it is you're trying to do, I asked for, give me 10 tips to winterizing your home, because we're getting into the winter. So it gave me the 10 tips, and then I used it to expand on and did a video that I'm going to be doing for that. So I think it's great. It helps the busy person out. It helps the not so busy person out. I can't wait to see and use your full product there and others that are out there, because again, it will never get rid of Mariah, but it will help her job out too. So as soon as she says, "Hey, sign up
Well,
for that," then she'll do it.
but imagine if Mariah could do it at scale using that same tool. And that's kind of the goal with AI, is it's not meant to replace, that connection, because I think that connection still needs to be there. I think AI is the tool that you need to utilize to help automate that connection, or free up time doing mundane things that you hate. You hate writing listing descriptions. So if you can have a listing description written in 5 minutes, where it used to take you an hour, now you have an hour to make phone calls to your database.
Exactly. Or is there to give you the ideas, and it gives you the script. So
Right.
I don't, let's see, do I see anything in the Q&A?
I didn't
There's
see anything in there. Yeah.
no
I-
questions. Mariah says, yeah, it's very helpful to allow me to do some more, because I'm not wasting time with hashtags, captions, listing reports, etc. One of the first things when ChatGPT first came out is I asked her to write up, uh, I am not sick, but please tell me how to tell my boss I'm sick so I can have the day off, or something like that. Chat GPT has ethics. It's told her that she should not do that. It's not right for her to do that and lie to her boss and stuff like
right.
that. So it does have some good ethics, but it's there for some great ideas.
The
Definitely.
game changer, honestly, the game changer in ChatGPT was when they came out with this custom instructions right here. Because this right here, this is creating your AI persona. This is that guide that I showed you guys earlier. When you have this in there, everything that I do from this point forward is pulling from this right here, so it knows how to say it, when to say it, how to appeal, how to stay compliant with like all that stuff. You put that into custom instructions, and then you never, ever, ever have to do it ever again. So
And
it's
there's a lot of tools both Larry and Joshua have out there. I mean, feel free to, Mariah, if you could drop the information on how to get in touch. Do you guys mind that I share your information with everybody here?
absolutely do it.
Drop it in the
Yeah.
Q&A on how they can get in touch with you. And of course, a recording of this will be sent out to everybody afterwards too. So I guess if there's no more questions, thank you. Larry, bring a wealth of knowledge in AI-driven marketing strategies, and you're passionate. I mean, I know that from experience about helping realtors and professionals succeed in this digital world. Your dedication to mastering technology and marketing is truly commendable.
Thank
I
you.
never had one of those first computers that you did. I pride you on that. So in conclusion, I want to leave you with a few thoughts. As we've discussed today, practice and coaching are essential for growth. Remember the Karate Kid, wax on, wax off. It wasn't just about learning the moves, it's about the disciplined practice. And also accountability is key in this 24/7 industry. And we tend to overestimate our own self-discipline. So that's where coaches come in, guiding us towards the right actions and strategies. And as you practice and refine your skills, keep in mind that mastery is not about memorizing, but about presentation, emotion, and expression. And like children hitting a pinata, every small effort counts. So it's a continuous practice and learning that lead to mastery. So remember, if you picked up even one valuable nugget of information here today, it can change everything for your 2024 success. So I want to thank all of you guys for being here. And if you have any questions or need further assistance, type them in now or reach out to me at tim@pdxreteam.com. And finally, I think that is all that we have. Anybody want to share anything else, Joshua or Larry? Oh, hold on. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, for me, it's just, look, this industry can change every aspect of your life as long as you're committed to putting in the work. Yeah, before I'm a college dropout, making $10 an hour, broke as a joke within 6 months. I mean, I had no idea the opportunities that this industry provided, but within 6 months, it blew my mind. But I'm like, man, making as much as attorneys and doctors. And look, for those that are truly committed, this is such a life-changing industry. This is a time to be excited about it, to go out there and gather that market share. But again, it's success is reserved for only those that are committed. And committed versus interested means that you do the work regardless of your emotional state. So you deserve the success for yourself and for your family. Just go out there and commit to making a reality and get it done.
You do. I mean, you can sit at home and listen to all the news and sit to everybody complaining about this, that, and the other thing, or you can find the answers and show how to present it to other people who are doing that. Reach out to your managing brokers, your principal brokers. A lot of people have shied away from that for whatever reason. I don't know. Reach out to your team leads, whatever it may be. Reach out to anybody else in the industry. Most of us are willing to share. So, if you have questions or you want some motivation or something like that, reach out. I mean, you're not here alone. None of us are in competition with each other. And with 36% potential dropouts here coming up soon, you have the potential of getting, part of that 36% that are dropping out and are retiring. They just don't want to adapt to the change. I mean, as soon as 2008 hit, I mean, the first thing I did was got my CDPE designation, distressed property. I wasn't able to get to the banks because I wasn't soon enough for that. And then I was not of any kind of minority status that they'd look at me. But the banks loved my packages because they were 100% full and complete from the start. Everything they needed versus little pops here and there. So learn and master your craft. And especially in today's age, you have to adapt because it's going to continuously change. So always reach out to people like Larry, people like Joshua, people like your principal broker, people like myself. So anybody else out there. So again, thank you all for being here. Joshua, thank you so much.
Tech has changed, by the
Larry.
way. Tech has changed. The fundamentals have not changed.
No, they have not.
Yeah.
No, they have not, because it's all about connections.
It is.
So,
yep.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you all very much. I appreciate it.
Thank you guys.